Welcome back for another video. Final video ahead of the Gameweek24 deadline. Let's catch up with the experts to see what they're doing this week. Lots to unpack this week with doubles and blanks around the corner. Let's get into it. Kicking things off with a manager highlight. FPL Flair has taken the top spot among the experts with a score of 72 points. Not enough for a green arrow, but he sits at 4.1k overall. It was a high average score in their league. Did you manage to beat 77? The biggest score was Jonas Brothers with a crazy score of 112, which took him to just outside top 10k. So let's have a look at their transfer activity. Only 11% are rolling this week, unsurprisingly given some juicy fixtures this week, like Liverpool home to Burnley, Man City home to Everton. 53% are spending one transfer, 24% spending two, and 11% are spending three. In terms of hits, 16% are on a -4 and 2% on a -8. Encouraging reading if you're weighing up a hit this week. Given the fixtures over the next two for City and Liverpool, there's definite potential for hits to be repaid and then some. While the manager's got their wildcard active this week, we've got his team and some commentary to dig into later in the video. But first, let's break down which players all those transfers are being spent on and who's leaving their teams this week. Their top transfer in is Jota, 39% have picked him up. 13 returns in 911 minutes this season, at a rate of 1 every 70 minutes. It's an opportune week to get Liverpool assets in before Burnley, 22% are getting Darwin, 6% buying Trent. This graphic from Rob T FPL is great for breaking down the projected goals and clean sheets by fixtures this week. Liverpool's game against Burnley's got 3.1 projected goals, the most of the game week. Man City projected 2.75 against Burnley. There is potential for Salah's return to impact Jota's minutes in the double game week, but it's also entirely possible they start together. And regardless, Jota's perhaps the best impact player in the league when coming off the bench. 5 of his 13 returns are from the bench being subbed on. 11% are buying Haaland back this week. Given those projected goals, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're leaning for captaincy this week. Certainly at home, City typically score more plentifully. Over the last 2 or so seasons, they've scored 5 or more goals 11 times, and 10 of those 11 times are at the Etihad. 6% are buying De Bruyne, 5% buying Foden. Walker and Vardy also joining some experts teams this week. Perhaps a bit harshly, Alvarez has been sold by 5% despite a great fixture this week and the double to come. Man City do have the early kickoff in Gameweek24, so we might get some early team news, allowing for some really focused transfers, players you know start in a top fixture. So Bowen's the most sold player, 23% have dropped him, followed by Pedro Porro, Watkins and Palmer, who actually have all been dropped by 16%. Again, somewhat harshly, all three have been great assets, but the double gaming upside is undeniable, and sometimes to the detriment of us managers irresistible. There's been many occasions where we've gone all in on double game weeks and left a bit disappointed. Let's not forget the potential for these players to go big in their single game week, or even outscore a double gaming asset. In Game Week 25, Watkins has got Fulham, Pedro Porro's got Wolves. Palmer does have Man City though. Palmer this week though faces a depleted Palace side. Hodgson's confirmed they're going to be without Eze, Guehi and Elise. There's definitely different play styles when it comes to doubles. You might be the type of manager that's happy to keep someone like Watkins rather than buying Darwin, given Watkins has good fixtures and he doesn't blank in 26. And there is also the hits factor. Lots are going to be taking hits this week in 25 and 26. You might prefer to avoid hits with less double gaming assets, and therefore before the game week's even started you're on a green arrow. 8% are selling Gordon. The latest from Hal's press conference is Gordon hasn't trained this week and we don't think the injury is serious. We hope he's going to be back sooner than later. Isak also won't make the game. We hope it's not too far away. We don't have a fixed date yet, but he's making good progress. 3% have made a big call selling Salah this week. The hope for those that held was that he'd be back in the 11 versus Burnley, but it may not be the case. We yet to see Salah in training, so it is an opportunity to sell him for Foden, De Bruyne or Jota this week. We talked about Garnacho in the past experts videos, and after a 16-point haul, he's joining 5% of the experts team. He's a really handy enabler for 4.9 mil to help fund those double gaming assets. So we've got an expert with their wildcard active this week. Let's have a quick look at their chip status. Only 2% have wildcarded, 1 active this week, so 97% have got theirs remaining. A few have bench boosted already, 1 has free hit and no triple captaincies yet. Alex, or Morton Gamst Edison, has his wildcard active. Here's his team. He's got Kaminsky in goal, Gabriel, Maguire and Doughty in defence, De Bruyne, Saka, Foden and Jota in midfield, Haaland, Tony and Darwin in the front three. On his bench he's got Flecken, Barkley, Kanate and Branthwaite. Here's what he had to say. Pulled the trigger on the wildcard. I've now got 9 with a double game week and I plan to bench boost. The main reason I wildcard is I had no Liverpool players going into their double game week. My chip strategy is to wildcard in Game Week 24, bench boost in Game Week 25, that'll be 26 players playing, triple captain in Game Week 28 on Solanke, and free hit Game Week 29. I'll only buy players that will blank that week to have them for double game week 34 and 37. In terms of my picks, the goalkeepers, both double next game week for the bench boost and surprisingly alternate nicely. In defence, not many clean sheets around, so I've squeezed all the money out of defence with some budget picks. In the midfielders and forwards, I've got an all-City attack and the two best Liverpool assets minus Salah in my opinion. I'll likely sell 2 Liverpool players for the blank in 26 and still be able to field 11, saving my 3 Luton for their double in 28. Best of luck with the wildcard, thanks for sharing Alex. There's been a few comments this week about the doubles and blanks causing real headaches, so let's do a quick overview of what's coming. Gameweek 25 is a double gameweek for Brentford, Liverpool, Luton and Man City. Tony the standard option for Brentford, they've got Liverpool and Man City. Liverpool face Brentford and Luton. Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, Jota and Darwin all great picks. Diaz could be as well. Luton have got a rough double against Man United and Liverpool. Kaminsky, Doughty, Barkley and Adebayo the best picks. And City will face Chelsea and Brentford. Ederson, Walker, Foden, De Bruyne and Haaland the best picks. Following that's blank gameweek 26. Chelsea, Liverpool, Luton and Spurs won't play that week. We've all got players from these teams, so be careful you're not over-invested with players blanking. Work out what you need to do to field 11 players in gameweek 26. All irrelevant if you plan to free hit then of course, but the free hit looks like it's going to be more powerful in other game weeks. A couple of game weeks later is double gameweek 28, Bournemouth and Luton double them. Neto, Senesi, Tavernier and Solanke all great picks, especially Solanke who's going to be pretty much everyone's captain. The same Luton picks mentioned earlier are going to be handy options here. And then immediately after that's blank gameweek 29. The 6 teams currently definitely playing are Burnley, Brentford, Fulham, Spurs, West Ham and Villa. This graphic from FPL Spaceman shows the odds of the other fixtures going ahead that week. There's only 4.7 projected fixtures at the moment, so it's going to be a huge blank game week. Luton vs Forest the next likeliest to go ahead, which will be very helpful given Luton's double the week before. Moving on to Gameweek 24 Captaincy, who are the experts going with this week? 91% have gone Haaland, 6% Jota and 3% Darwin. So if we compare Darwin and Jota, they have scored similarly for points and it's a battle of ceiling versus precision. These are the per 90 stats. Darwin with 0.97 xG per 90 to Jota's 0.51, 5.16 shots per 90 to Jota's 3.13, 0.26 expected assists to Jota's 0.08. Darwin not nearly as clinical, but his ability to get into the right positions is a really underappreciated quality. We've been waiting almost 2 years for the week he goes nuclear, which hasn't happened yet. Here's what the goal scorer odds say for Gameweek 24. Haaland's been given a 60% chance of scoring any time, Darwin is second with 50% and Jota in third with 44.5%. Though of course Jota as a midfielder has an extra point per goal and good potential for clean sheet point in the next 3 fixtures. Here's what FPL Review's projections say. With 85 estimated minutes for Haaland, he's on 7.4, Darwin on 6.7 with 80 minutes, Son, who we've not even discussed yet, on 6.3. He has been training with the team, so he might be in line for a start against Brighton, and then it's Jota with 6.2 points. There is huge upside if you back the Liverpool players if they can outscore Haaland this week. Let us know in the comments who your captain is. I've just put the captain poll up on the community tab of my channel, so get your votes in. Moving on to the experts team, and before we look at it, if you found this video helpful, hit subscribe. The experts team is the 15 players most owned across all their players, basically a wisdom of the crowd team. It's Dubravka in goal, Gabriel, Pedro Porro and Trent in defence. The midfield 5 is Foden, Palmer, Jota, Richarlison and Saka, and up top Solanke and Haaland. It's a strong bench of Areola, Watkins, Estupiñán and Taylor. Not quite enough transfer activity to get Darwin into the team, but Jota has joined the team in place of Gordon. Therefore it's Haaland captain and Jota vice in their team. As it stands, they've got 4 players doubling in 25, no doubt another 1 or 2 to join next week. De Bruyne just 23% owned by the experts interestingly last week, 8% lower than the wider player base. Let's wrap it up with the experts tips and insight. Here's what they had to say this week. Jossie says, this week feels like a great opportunity to take a preventative hit to pick up some double gameweek 25 assets. With players from Liverpool and Luton facing Burnley and Sheffield United respectively, there's an opportunity to jump on a doubler player for gameweek 25 while capitalising on a great fixture this week. Doing it this week can allow you to roll 2 free transfers into gameweek 26 to deal with your blanking players and have a stronger team available for next week. FF Vamp says, no one will be able to optimise every gameweek for the rest of the season, so don't worry if you aren't either. Work out what gets you the best out of every week and stick to the plan. Focus on Man City before Liverpool assets. FPL Addict says, likely rolling, but might move Solanke to Darwin if I'm confident in his minutes. It would mean dropping Palmer to the bench though, so it's not without sacrifice. Ben Coleman's also looking to make a decision on Palmer. He says, there could be big gains to make over the coming weeks with double game weeks and blank game weeks upon us. I'm looking to take a big risk by transferring out reliable assets like Palmer and Watkins for De Bruyne and Darwin Nunez, who have favourable home fixtures this week, followed by double in game week 25. This could easily backfire, but the potential point ceilings for KDB and Darwin just feels too high to ignore. Andrew Debenham says, double gaming mania is here. Suddenly Luton players are all the rage, but do we really want to bench good players with excellent single fixtures in Gameweek 25? The streets don't forget Emmanuel Dennis. FPL Tony says, tough game weeks ahead of us. Many different routes and swings, could be really big. Good luck. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be live for a deadline stream on Saturday. All eyes on Man City. See you then.